Many of us have been working hard for a long time, focusing on our careers and our families and providing, and maybe we've forgotten how to have fun. Today's video, we're going to talk about how to bring that spark back, how to have fun again, and how to take full advantage of the youth of your senior years. So stay tuned. Hi, I'm Azul Wells. I help executives, entrepreneurs, and everyday next-door millionaires, people like yourselves, fully enjoy the youth of their senior years, their 40s, their 50s, and 60s. And what we're going to talk about today is sometimes by working so hard for so long, it's embarrassing to say, but we forgot how to have fun. And in today's video, we're going to talk about how to get that spark back, how to have fun again if maybe we've been too serious for too long. If we're being candid with ourselves, we're like, yeah, you know what? I'm not as much fun as I used to be in my 20s, my 30s. So let's talk about a couple things that I found that's helped me keep the passion in my life, in the skip in my step, and make me more fun when I'm hanging around other people. And the first one is just to stay curious. Try to develop new skills, follow things that are of interest to you. For instance, in the new skills area, I always thought it would be interesting to learn how to code. So I took a couple months and I took an online coding class and I learned how to do that. And from there, it opened the door to, I was hanging around with younger people as I was learning to code. And it reminded me that I always wanted to learn how to surf. And so it opened the door to learning how to surf. And from there, I was in San Diego a lot, where there's a large Hispanic community. From there, I decided to learn Spanish. And learning Spanish opened the door for me to travel. So just staying curious, having something that you find interesting, that for the most part, you're always pursuing something that you find interesting. And the nice thing is at our stage of life, when we don't find it interesting anymore, we can just close the door on it and we can move on to our next interest. There's no harm in being kind of a Renaissance person in following different pursuits. The whole idea is just to keep your energy level up, to keep your level of enthusiasm for life up, to keep your curiosity alive. I think that's important. And the next tip is to stay active. It's really important as we get older that we continue to stay active and we keep ourselves fit. And I think most of us would benefit from doing some sort of activity pretty much every day, certainly 5 days a week. It doesn't have to be long, right? It doesn't have to be 3 hours in the gym. It can be a half hour. Everything doesn't have to be in the gym. I think some of the fundamentals are weight resistance training, right? Lifting weights, because as we get older, we lose some of our muscle mass. So weight resistance training, even if you just lift weights for 30 minutes, 3 days a week, I think you're going to get a lot of benefits from something like that. So weight resistance training, strength training, also flexibility as we get older, kind of the aches and pains, at least for me, that make me feel like I'm getting older, really come from a lack of flexibility and maybe some sore muscles. And personally, I found yoga has really been powerful to help me stay flexible and to reduce those aches and pains and sore muscles. So weight resistance training, yoga, and then finally something aerobic. I like to jog. It gets me outside. I typically don't listen to music. You don't need to do a lot. I think a 5K is sufficient to do that. And so that's what I rotate through, something aerobic, flexibility training, and then weight resistance training, hitting the gym and lifting somewhat heavy things. And I just rotate through that. So if you do that twice a week, you do that rotation twice a week, that's 6 days. And, God created the world in 6 days and rested on the seventh. I think we can all learn something from that. So I think that would be a good model to copy. If you're finding this conversation to be helpful, please consider liking the video. And if you're interested in these topics, if you're financially independent in your 40s, 50s, or 60s, or you love or care about somebody that is, consider subscribing, because this is what I talk about. This is my passion, is helping people take full advantage of the youth of their senior years. Okay, so we talked about staying curious. We talked about staying active. And the next thing I want to talk about, find a way to hang around with younger people, appropriately, of course. Maybe you mentor at a high school, or like me earlier, I learned how to code. Or sometimes when I travel, I will stay in a hostel. There's lots of young people there. Strike up a conversation with young people, get to know them, kind of share some of your life experiences, but also find out from them, right? Have a curious mind and find out from them what's going on in their life. I think it's good to have experiences where you're spending quality time with younger people. I think it keeps us young at heart. I think it's also good to stay in touch with our friends that knew us when we were younger. Maybe your friends from high school when if you were like me, you were a little bit of a knuckleball. And it's good to be reminded of that. And friends from college and friends from a couple years out of college. Staying fun, we talked about staying in touch with young people and staying in touch with your old friends. Also make some new friends, do some new activities, maybe take up a new sport. If you live in a town where mountain biking or road biking is popular, if you haven't done that before, maybe join one of those groups. Don't let the fact that you're not an Olympic caliber athlete keep you from doing some of these sports activities, right? It's really about getting out there and doing the activity and, frankly, having an excuse to do something with other people. Don't be afraid to waste money occasionally, right? You've worked hard to save up. Most of the viewers of my channel are financially independent. If you see something in the local newspaper that looks like fun, maybe it's learning to tango dance or learning to cross-country ski, you know what? Go out there and do it. Invest the time, and certainly don't let the $50 or the $75 registration fee hold you back. You may look at some of those activities and say, well, that was a waste of time. Well, that was a waste of money. But you know what? You have to kiss a couple toads along the way to find new things to do, to find new activities, to find new passions. Okay, so those are my main tips for rekindling your fun gene. I hope you found this video to be helpful. Until next time, I'm Azul Wells, encouraging you to take full advantage of the youth of your senior years. Remember, you're only young once. Use your time wisely.